Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. Of course, we'll be talking about, pursuant to the Supreme Court's direction, the session of the National Assembly that is being held since the morning, 10:30. Now, it seems it's been adjourned to 9:30 and still, of course, the vote of no confidence is pending. We're also hearing heated speeches from different members of the House, from the government and the opposition, back and forth exchanges. But we'll be talking about what the legal position is pursuant to the directions of the Supreme Court at this time. Of course, what the government plans to do as far as the vote of no confidence is concerned for the session today, and the legal ramifications of if the vote of no confidence is not held today. We've also, on the other hand, seen the government go towards review of the Supreme Court decision, the legal ramifications of that also. At this time, of course, there are, rumors are flying all over the capital about what the ultimate political situation will be after today's session and overall. All of that today on Perspective. I have with me Mohammed Imran, who is a legal expert. Thank you for joining us today. Imran Khan, who's an M&A with PTI, and Javed Jadoon, who is a senior analyst. Thank you for joining us today. Javed Saab, overall we've spoken about what this can mean for the political, in terms of what a political crisis it can come, it can blow into. And we've been seeing overall in the last week or so, even before, first the no confidence motion, then we saw, of course, the dissident elements within the PTI, going to the Supreme Court over different, legal clarification on different articles, all of those things. Now it seems, there is a legal battle, which the government seems, according to the government, doesn't seem to have ended, because we're seeing that they're now going towards a review. And on the other hand, there is a very real political battle, which the Prime Minister says again and again that he will fight till the last ball. Of course, we don't know, when or what the government strategy is overall. As in terms of speeches, we are seeing a lot of speeches. We are seeing, we've been seeing government members talk. We saw Shah Mahmood Qureshi talk, at length, of course, about the letter, also the conspiracy regarding that, the clarification that was sought from the Supreme Court, that on that also, investigation on that. All of those things. Overall, how do you look at the session till now, as of today? Let's talk about that. Javed Saab, can you hear me?
Hello.
Ji.
Can you hear me?
Ji. Javed Saab, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Ji, Jamil Saab, let me go to you. Overall, as far as the session today is concerned, can you tell us a little bit about what the government strategy is? Because we are seeing till now, from 10:30 to now, we have not seen the vote of no confidence. That there hasn't been voting, hasn't started, and it seems like, of course, we had the speaker come up and say that he fully intends to uphold the Supreme Court's decision in letter and spirit. But till now, it's still pending. We are hearing slogans from the opposition side again and again saying that they want the vote to go forward. They have the requisite members, all of those things. What do you expect now?
First of all, I would like to mention that the speaker is following and he is running the business of the House as per the Supreme Court directive. But it's the privilege of the members. I think it was first the opposition benches that they started talking. They had a point of order, and then Shah Mahmood Qureshi, in response, he spoke, and then all the members from both the sides, they shared their views. And still we have time. We have a break right now, and our Minister Ahmad Hazar wanted to speak on the floor of the House. So let's wait and see. We have time till 12, and I think there must be some. I don't think so there will be any violation of the court order, but Speaker is very much there, and we are running the House.
Do you think the vote of no confidence will go forward?
I am sure that the House is still on. We still have 3 more hours to go, and let's see what the Speaker is there. I think vote of confidence is very much on the agenda of the day, and Speaker have already conveyed that he will not violate. And so far, the House is going to the agenda, but the members, they are conveying their expression, their views, their speeches going on. So let's see.
Okay, let me come back to you. Do we have Muhammad Imran? Ji, Javed Saab, overall, let's see. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sure.
Ji, Javed Saab, overall, what do you feel will happen as far as this NA session is concerned? Certainly, it's now been adjourned till 9:30. We also have now, reports of a cabinet meeting which the Prime Minister has called at 9:30. Overall, what do you see happening now as far as the National Assembly session is concerned? Because of course it's been on since 10:30. Do you feel that the vote of no confidence will proceed as per agenda?
Thank you very much, Marukh. I think government is very unnecessarily dragging the whole situation. And we have seen a lot of parliamentarians speaking today, and the House being adjourned again and again. And even now it is adjourned, and it is going to meet again after Isha prayers. What seems to be the strategy of the government is to linger on the situation further. But I personally believe it is going to be very hard to conduct the proceedings as far as the vote of no confidence is concerned, because the Speaker and the rest of the people presiding over, they don't seem to be interested in that. There's a serious deadlock, and there's a political quagmire as far as Pakistan is concerned right now. I think Supreme Court was very clear that the vote of no confidence should be held on this particular day, because
there seems to be this debate, for the lack of a better word, between the powers of the Speaker to run the House as he sees fit. Because we had, while the Deputy Speaker was chairing the session, he said that, of course he is cognizant of the Supreme Court's directions. He fully intends to follow them, but running of the House is his mandate. So there seems to be, this debate between, of course, the Supreme Court on the one hand saying that the vote of no confidence, the vote should take place today, and the powers of the Speaker to run the House, which seem to be, going alongside. And, whether the Speaker is within his power to run it as he sees fit, keeping in mind, of course, the directions of the Supreme Court.
Marukh, as far as the procedure is concerned, you're absolutely right that the Speaker is the custodian of the House, and he is fully empowered, fully authorized to conduct the business of the House. But in this particular case, I believe until and unless there is some communication from the Prime Minister's office, the Speaker will never sort of go for the vote of no confidence. And this seems to be the case, what we have seen the whole day. Very unnecessary speeches, and the only objective was to drag the situation, and we will be reaching the point where they might be able to say that, well, now time is not enough time is left to conduct the vote of no confidence, and he could adjourn the House to meet again tomorrow morning.
But would that be legal?
That would lead to another serious political crisis and constitutional crisis as well. They would be inviting the contempt of court as well, because even opposition would be at the end of their patience now, because they have been sitting there the whole day. They have been trying their best not to get involved, not to engage with the government benches.
We've also seen, side by side, we also have, the government going towards review of the Supreme Court's decision. So, acceptance.
Yes, Marukh, it doesn't stop the House to conduct the vote of no confidence, because a review is something else. Because right now, the order of the Supreme Court passed recently stands, and that order is to conduct the no confidence exercise and then elect the leader of the House as well. So filing the review does not stop the House to conduct the vote of no confidence. They really can't put forward this particular excuse that since they have filed a review reference in the Supreme Court, they are not going to conduct the business of the House, because today the business of the House was only and only to conduct the vote of no confidence.
Right, let me come back to you. We also have with us Mohammed Imran, who is a legal expert. Imran sir, legally speaking, what's your position as far as, on the one hand, the Supreme Court's direction for the vote of no confidence to take place today, and on the other hand, the Speaker's power to run the House as he sees fit, which, the Supreme Court has also said that, it's the purview of the Speaker.
Thank you so much, Marukh. But for commenting on the direction of the Honorable Supreme Court of Pakistan, let me say that it's a very unfortunate situation for any given country, which is based upon the constitutionality, which is based upon the supremacy of Parliament. When we go by the Constitution, we find it out there is trichotomy of parts. The Constitution has itself provided it. There is legislatures, there are executives, and there are judiciary. But what I'm witnessing right now is that every single organ of state is probably engrossing and encroaching upon the jurisdiction of others. Very, very sorry to say the Supreme Court has done the same. And let me state, when we talk about the pillars of state in a parliamentary democracy, in a parliamentary constitution, we find it out that parliament is supreme. No one can regulate the conduct of the parliament. And the reason for being is that the parliament is not only creation of the constitution at one end, but it is also the creator of the constitution at the other end. Whereas Supreme Court is purely creation of the constitution. And Supreme Court is bound by all the provisions and the mandates given by the constitution to the Supreme Court. What I find in the judgment of Honorable Supreme Court of Pakistan, I find therein there are so many flaws.
Okay.
How Supreme Court can regulate the conduct of the Parliament? How Supreme Court can dictate a speaker to convene a meeting on a given time and then not to prorogue the meeting till that particular act of vote of no confidence has not been completed? So in that scenario, what I'm submitting is, in our society, there are so many issues, and issues are always excess of powers. One organ intervenes, encroaches upon the powers of the other. Supreme Court did the same, and now the Parliament is doing the same. But as a student of law, what I have to blame? To whom to blame? As a student of law, it's a very painful situation for me. It's a constitutional crisis at one end, and it's a political crisis at the other end.
But Imran sir, for the Supreme Court, of course, it became very difficult. They were interpreting the Constitution. They were interpreting, provisions of the Constitution. They had no choice. They could have chosen. Of course, it was a suo moto. They took it up suo moto. But the point is, at this juncture where this whole crisis was brewing, for the Supreme Court to not step up would again, there would have been different opinions on that also, right?
Marukh, my submission is, if Supreme Court has to act as an arbiter and has to settle down the political crisis or the constitutional crisis growing in the country, in that scenario, first thing comes first. And the first thing was a presidential reference sent by the President of Pakistan to the Supreme Court to decide about the fate of Article 63A of the Constitution. What the Supreme Court did, that reference is still pending, and that is serving as the basis for the political turmoil and the political crisis in the country. Had the Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court of Pakistan, decided that reference, in that scenario, let me submit very respectfully, there should have not been any political crisis, not to talk about any constitutional crisis. Now, coming back to your another point, and that is the Supreme Court is
Imran,
bound to interpret.
Let me come back to you. I want to also ask you about what you feel about, the review. which the government has decided to go forward and you know, against the Supreme Court decision in this matter. Let me come back to you. I'm going to go to Jameel Saab. Jameel Saab, the government has also now decided to go for review against the decision of the Supreme Court. Do you think, are you hopeful that they will also, because one of the things, you know, even now that Imran Saab is saying, and a lot of legal experts are saying, is that 63A, you know, the presidential reference that's pending, that also is something that they want directions on, the court needs to adjudicate on, so that there's clarity there. Are you going to be moving forward and you know, talking about that also when you go for review regarding this decision of the Supreme Court?
Marukh, well, I am not a law expert, and I think this will be not a suitable question for me to answer, because I am not expert on the subject. Well, as far as the review petition is concerned, yes, the government is certainly going for the review, and I think things are moving ahead. Let's hope. The situation is not very clear to me as well, but as far as the business of the House is concerned, it was also discussed on the floor of the House, and I second whatever my respectable colleague right here, Mr. Imran spoke, that Parliament is, we have to see the supremacy of the Parliament also, and Speaker is very well aware of that. So let's see, let's hope for the best. I think still it's premature to say anything, because
Jameel Saab, you know, I know we all hope for the best. We all hope that there will be, you know, some clarity about what's happening. Of course, at this time we don't have any of that clarity, but
because
in Europe, you know, why not?
Right,
do you think it's do you think it's possible, do you think it was perhaps possible earlier on, now perhaps not so much, for the government and the opposition to find some sort of middle ground? Do you think that perhaps the government was remiss in trying to you know, get to that kind of an understanding with the opposition, for it to come to where we are at this point today?
Well,
do you think it could have been prevented at all?
No, I think it's too late for any sort of understanding, because it could have been earlier. It's too late now, but you know.
But earlier on, earlier on, do you think that perhaps, you know, the government would have been, it would have been better, you know, for all parties concerned to find some sort of middle ground? Because you know, for all intents and purposes, we are now in the middle of not only a constitutional crisis, of a parliamentary crisis also. You know, for overall, the way things are at this time, the uncertainty persists all over. You know, there are different theories afloat at this time. There is, we are seeing, of course, we saw the dollar in, you know, the rupee in free fall. It made up a little bit, but overall, the situation at this time, if you look at the economy, if you look at the state, I mean, overall, the provinces are concerned, the bureaucracy is concerned, you know, the overall framework of the state machinery is concerned, everything seems to be suspended. There's no doubt about that, right?
Marukh. Just a very small comment, and I must say that these all things that you have mentioned, they are very, very important. But the most important thing right now is the sovereignty of this country, the sovereignty of Pakistan, where there is an external interference to topple up the government, to change the regime. It's a regime change plan from a foreign hand involved. That is the foremost thing that we have to see, and already a commission has been formed, and that is the basis of crisis. Had there been no foreign hand, we had no problem. There was a parliamentary business, vote of no confidence was just, there was nothing. Until and unless it was discovered that the entire move is backed up by some foreign country, a lot of money is involved. Members
but Jameel Saab, even as far as, of course, even as far as sovereignty is concerned, even as far as our, you know, Javed Saab, let me, I think there's a problem with audio. You know what Jameel, of course, I hope you've been listening to what Jameel Saab was saying. Of course, as far as sovereignty is concerned, external threat to Pakistan and our sovereignty, all of those things are relevant. But then some of the questions that arise are that, if we are forming the commission now, why wasn't it done earlier, right? Because
I think
those are some of the issues.
Yes, yes.
Gee.
Yes, Maruk, basically, when you talk about sovereignty of a country, it is a very complex phenomenon. You really can't simplify it. Any country,
Yes.
because it's a global interdependence and the foreign policy dynamics, every country has some kind of dependency on the rest of the world. So no country is sovereign as far the definition itself is concerned right now. And I don't believe there was any threat to Pakistan's sovereignty. The diplomatic démarche or the diplomatic cables, diplomats, they keep exchanging the diplomatic cables, and every embassy, even in Islamabad, is writing back to their respective governments every evening whatever is happening in Pakistan, and they give their views very candidly, and these views are conveyed to the Foreign Office. And if there's any actionable communication, they do that in the due course of time. This is my personal opinion, but I don't see any threat to Pakistan's sovereignty in the sense which is being projected right now. So moving forward, it has been made a kind of excuse.
But Javed sir, on the one hand we have, on the one hand, whether personally, whatever our personal opinions may be, on the one hand we have this communique or whatever one may call it, démarche or whatever one may call it in the field. On the other hand, we have a presidential reference pending on 63A, which is related to the defecting members in the National Assembly. We also now have a Supreme Court judgment that says, the vote of no confidence go forward. In that kind of a scenario, in where we are at this time, what do you think is the best, in your opinion, what is the best case scenario for us to move forward? Get the vote of no confidence, whether the opposition can have the numbers, they don't have the numbers, however it happens, and move forward from there, or what other options are there on the table at this time?
I think, Maruk, very simple. Let the vote of no confidence take place today, and whoever enjoys the majority, if opposition does have the majority, they will definitely succeed in the vote of no confidence, and Prime Minister would be deseated, or he won't be in the corridors of power anymore. And tomorrow, the House can elect the leader of the House, and once the leader of the House is elected, I think they will have at least 3 to 4 months to go for the general elections, because ultimately the solution lies with the general elections.
Before I go to Imran Sahab, Javed Sahab, do you think anybody who comes in at this time with the kind of situation there is, do you think that, of course we had Shehbaz Sharif Sahab go, when he spoke in the Supreme Court, when he talked, during the case, he said that he told the court that they will not be disappointed. He said he made a lot of tall claims when he was speaking to the court, saying that, of course, that the opposition will be able to handle the situation, all of those things. But overall, where we are at this time, the situation, it'll be very difficult, wouldn't you agree, for any government that comes in, for any, for any other leader of the House, if there is a change, bringing in their own team, all of those things to deal with the kind of crisis we're in the midst of at this time. We also have the Prime Minister saying he's called his supporters, he's called the people of Pakistan. Yesterday he spoke, he addressed the nation, and he said that come out and support Pakistan's sovereignty, linking it to the letter, to the communique, from abroad, all of those things. In that kind of a situation, it's not going to be a very easy road for anyone if there is that kind of change.
Yes, you're right, because Pakistan is facing the problems of massive magnitude, particularly the economic problems. We have seen the devaluation of rupee. It is plunging to historic lows, and economic factors are really on the tailspin. So whoever comes into power, whether that be Shehbaz Sharif or anyone else from the opposition, would be an extremely difficult task to handle these very complex issues which Pakistan is right now faced with. But I think the only way forward is, once the government is formed, they should not, I don't believe they are going to stay there, because the more they stay in power, the more they are unable to resolve the issues. and more unpopular they will become once again, and ultimately Imran Khan and his party would be the beneficiary. So I strongly believe that they do understand the dynamics as well. I think they will, once they are in power, Shahbaz Sharif, if he becomes the Prime Minister of Pakistan, I don't see him staying in power more than 5-6 months. So ultimately,
let me come back to you, Javed Saab. We have with us Rafiq Rajwana Saab from the PMLN, former governor, Punjab. Ji, Rajwana Saab, we've been talking about the fact that the vote of no confidence is, of course, on the agenda, whether it goes forward or not at this time. Overall, as far as the situation is concerned, as far as the crisis is concerned, it's of course increasing day by day. Shahbaz Sharif Saab is the candidate, the joint candidate of the PDM, the opposition at this time. Are you confident that the situation that we're in at this time, that there will be your party, of course, along with the other opposition, will be able to handle the situation, economic situation overall, and the crisis that we're seeing all over the country? Now, of course, we're seeing the KP government now also.
I would like to comment that the mode of removing the Prime Minister is constitutional one, which has been adopted by the joint opposition. There are two things: vote of confidence and vote of no confidence. And this provision has been given within the constitution. Now the question is that bad situation of economy. Till now, Imran Khan is the Prime Minister, and for more than 3.5 years they had been running the country. And the people at large have complained that there was bad governance, price hike, and other so many things. The economy was facing a very difficult situation. Now the question which you have put to me, that whether Shahbaz Sharif being the joint candidate as Prime Minister of all political parties except VTI, who is opposing it, whether he will be able to handle the situation, my answer would be that it's some sort of an arrangement for, say, 8 or 9 months after having done the electoral reforms and other things. Definitely they'll proceed for elections. So then when they will go to the election, then the government which comes at that time after the result of the election, it may be anybody's government, any party's government, then they will handle the situation. But I would request to all the political parties, as far as the economy is concerned, we should have a charter of economy. It was the first speech of the leader of the opposition, and it was a request to the Prime Minister that, come on, we can have a charter of economy for the betterment of the country. And now today, what is happening in the National Assembly and what happened on 3rd of April.
I'm going to interrupt you for a second, just to interject. The situation today of what's happening between the opposition and the government, do you think that it would be possible when you have the Prime Minister spoke yesterday and he said that he wants his followers, his people, the people of Pakistan to rally behind him, to come out, of course, peacefully protest, but protest nonetheless. Do you think in that kind of an environment,
actually it amounts to violating the order of the Supreme Court? Now, Supreme Court has not passed the ex-party order. The learned counsel lawyers of both the parties were heard at length. They had availed the full opportunity for 3-4 days, and they had put their case. I, being a lawyer and being the senior lawyer of the lawyer community, we always argue the case. The other counsel also argues the case, and whatsoever the decision is made by the court.
What I'm saying is, do you think it will be possible, if that even if there is that change that you're talking about with Shahbaz Sharif Saab, do you think it will be possible for them to reach that kind of economic charter that you are talking about, when there's clearly that the discord is between the government at this time and the opposition is monumental? Even I think that the kind of course, one hopes that there will be that kind of charter.
The situation would have calm and quiet if the Speaker had gone towards the voting of no confidence after the speeches of the people from the Treasury bench. That's all. It could have been simply the compliance of the order of the Supreme Court. Who is creating this fuss? Who is creating this situation? Which are talking about, which is being talked about now. So my request would be, keeping the larger interests of the countries, the opposition is equipped with the order of the Supreme Court,
and that order is for holding the no confidence motion and the voting. So we have a valid legal order of the Supreme Court. Any violation of that order, that responsibility lies on the shoulder of the Treasury bench, on the shoulder of the Prime Minister, on the shoulder of the Speaker, and on the shoulder of the ministers of the PTI. They should. What message they are giving to the nation, to the international world, that they are not complying with the order of the Supreme Court? Forget about their position. Forget about anything else. There is an order of the Supreme Court that has been passed after full arguments from both the sides, even the Attorney General. And the Attorney General also conceded that he cannot defend the ruling of the Deputy Speaker. So whatsoever was done, rightly, it was done by the Supreme Court of Pakistan. And I personally feel, it's my personal feeling, it's my personal view, not as belonging to the PMLN, not at all, that this act of the Speaker is contemptuous, with all due respect to the Speaker or anybody who is presiding that session. Yes.
Right. Let me come back to you. I'm going to go to Imran Sahab with that same question. Imran Sahab, do you think that the Speaker can be held, in your opinion, in your legal opinion, in contempt of the order of the Supreme Court if the voting indeed does not take place today as directed by the Supreme Court?
Very honest, if we go by the orders of the Honorable Supreme Court, the Speaker has been no option except to go for the vote of no confidence. Probably the Speaker is trying to exploit one order of the Supreme Court wherein limitation has been imposed upon proroguing the session of the Assembly. But as far as the adjournment of the session is concerned, the order is silent. So in that scenario, if we evaluate the actions or the acts of the Speaker of the National Assembly of today's proceeding, or if the House is adjourned for tomorrow or day after tomorrow, it's not proroguing the session. It's adjourning the session. So probably they would try to find it out a way to avoid the contempt, as the learned colleague was referring to. But before moving on to that, I would again, there is a very common proverb prevalent in legal fraternity, and that is, not only justice is done, but it has seen to be done. My submission is, the Honorable Supreme Court, while hearing all the parties at length, what was the rationale of inviting two political parties head to the rostrum and invite a political speech from them? Supreme Court probably has itself put into a trouble. The very confidence which we as a legal fraternity members try to impress the public, that we pose the confidence in the Supreme Court of Pakistan. But such like judgments and such like conduct during the proceeding probably shake the public confidence somehow.
Okay, fair enough. Rajwana Sahab, would you like to answer this? Imran Sahab is saying that, as far as the Supreme Court is concerned, the fact that they called, they heard from, they called Shehbaz Sharif Sahab, Bilawal Bhutto also, there were comments about that, him also, that according to him, there was no need to do. Of course, in this situation, of course, there were parties also, so there is a case to be argued for the court hearing them. What would you say to that?
Throughout the hearings, for 3 days or 4 days, I was present since 1 o'clock till evening, and even on the last day from 9:30 till evening until the decision of the Supreme Court. It is the prerogative of the court that the parties whose lists or whose cases are pending before them, from both the sides, they can listen anybody. They were present and they were called. Now, when they were called by the Supreme Court, the lawyers of PTI, the lawyers of Prime Minister, the lawyers of the President, the Attorney General, all the learned counsels were present in the court. They could have raised the objection, subject to all just and legal exceptions. My Lord, they should not be heard. They should not be given the right of hearing. They are the political leaders. They didn't say anything negative. They just supported their case. And then also they expressed their views about the elections also. Nothing wrong was said. Nobody was blamed. It was the prerogative of the Supreme Court. Now it is an open and shut case when the decision has been made by the Supreme Court and all the legal arguments were made. At the cost of repetition, I reiterate, then there is no, you can discuss or you can raise some sort of objections on the judgments of the court subject to certain limitations. But as far as the implementation of the orders of the Supreme Court of Pakistan is concerned, those were passed in presence of the Learned Council for both the parties, the Learned Attorney General. That order has to be complied with. It's simply a legal question. And as far as proroguing and the adjourning is concerned, it's just a technical rescue to avoid the implication of the judgment of Supreme Court. There was no need of speeches continuing for one learned minister for hours, then the other minister, then another minister, then adjourning the House for half an hour or 1 hour, then resuming the session after 2.5 hours. So they have done everything. The Speaker has done everything, but that's all. They have been given the proper opportunity to, yes, I agree, that the PTI should have been given a chance to defend their case or to put their case at the House, at the floor of the House, in the House. Now they have put it. If it is delayed like this, then it amounts to delaying with the mala fide intention to defeat the order of the Supreme Court. Ultimately, then the Supreme Court will decide whether it is a contempt or not, and they will issue a fresh direction, no issue. We are not in a hurry. Why should we be in a hurry? But we are in a hurry that the order of the Supreme Court should be complied with. If non-compliance is there, let them face the consequences whatsoever the Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court decides that what should be the result of this non-compliance of the order of the Supreme Court.
Let me come back to you. Javed Sab, your comments, unfortunately, we're also running out of time, but overall, as far as the pending review is concerned, do you think that's just a technicality? Do you think that there is, of course, the government availing all of its legal rights, moving forward when whatever the circumstances may be, they've chosen to go for review on the Supreme Court decision?
Marukh, I think most importantly, this political and constitutional conundrum could have serious ramifications for the entire system, because this really can't go on indefinitely. If political parties are unable to resolve the differences, unable to resolve this very serious situation on the floor of the House, I think then they would be leaving the door open for extra constitutional forces to intervene and resolve the situation. I think they need to realize that it's a nuclear state and a country of 200 million people. You really can't go in limbo indefinitely if they keep on playing their games in the National Assembly, and the whole nation is being kept hostage to the drama being played out in the National Assembly of Pakistan. So I think they should behave maturely. They should understand that they could put the entire political system at risk, and it might take them a very long time to get back to the National Assembly as it stands today.
Right. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. Thank you so much for joining us, Mohammed Imran. Thank you for being with us. Jameel Ahmed Khan, thank you for joining us. Javed Jadoon Saab, thank you for being with us. Rafiq Rajwana Saab, thank you for your input. Of course, as far as the situation is concerned, we will know more after the Supreme Court, after the session is, after the break, as far as the session is concerned, it was till 9. We'll also know more after the cabinet meeting which has been called, but overall, of course, one hopes that the kind of uncertainty that we're seeing at this time all over, the kind of rumors that are flying all over the capital, of course, we're seeing containers all around also. For the normal citizen, for the people of Pakistan, there should be certainty. For the economy of Pakistan, there should be certainty for any kind of investment, for any kind of moving forward, for any kind of state machinery to function. As far as the provinces are also concerned, certainty must prevail, and we hope that pursuant to the, of course, Supreme Court directions, moving forward, there is that kind of political certainty that is needed for Pakistan and for its people to move forward. Thank you so much for joining us today on Press.